Hi everyone and welcome to Impact. I'm Nick Barber, your host for the government segment. Today our special guest is Joe Kelleher. Joe is a candidate for the Schenectady City Council. Joe Kelleher is an Air Force veteran, a father and husband who's active in the community of Schenectady, and he believes it's time for residents of Schenectady to take back ownership of their city and restore prosperity. Joe, welcome.
Nick, always a pleasure to see you, my friend.
My friend, we're not strangers, are we?
No, we are not strangers by any means.
Yeah,
No,
not at all.
We know each other a couple of years now.
Yeah, and you're a recent newlywed, aren't you?
I am a recent newlywed,
Yeah.
and that's exactly how we met, through my wife, Linda Crandall, she was known around
Yes.
the city. She's been a resident of the city for a number of years,
Yes.
very active in the community.
Also very active in the community.
Oh, very much
Yes.
so, very much so, Nick.
Yep,
as
neighborhood
you know.
associations and...
Right, she's a president of the Central State Street Neighborhood Association, and on several boards and committees here in the city. And,
Yes.
And which is how I got into a lot of the happenings here in the
Yeah.
city as well.
Well, the first question I would ask any candidate, especially the first time running for a particular office, is, why are you doing this? Okay, no, I kid because I've done it several times.
Well, of course, yeah.
You know that,
Yeah.
and it's a brave step, and to put yourself out there.
It is.
I mean, when you put yourself out there, you really put yourself out there for scrutiny, and
Of course.
you know, you're out in the public and you take a risk. You're going to win or you're going to lose, and of course, you always go in it to win it. What motivated you, Joe Kelleher, to run for city council in the city of Schenectady? What got you started?
I'm glad you asked, Nick. And the major factor that pushed me into running for city council is my wife.
Okay.
Really. She has just been a tremendous support system for me in everything that I do, from my work to my business to the community activities. She keeps me going and keeps me involved in it because she's right there alongside me. The city, she's a little afraid to step out in front quite often, and I'm no stranger to it.
Yeah.
I've been out
You're
involved.
a public person. You've worked in
I am.
radio, you've
Right.
Worked in entertainment, and
I was a traffic reporter. I did weathercasts for radio stations all across the nation, did some television and such. Involved in, I started up here, I brought with me to this area the Capital Region Off the Couch Gang, which
Yes.
has almost 1,100 members now.
does it really?
Yeah, it's incredible. We're knocking on the door of
Wow.
1,100 members, and
Yeah.
with all the community activities that we do, with benefits and going out to parties, and even going out to karaoke nights on the sometimes.
Yes. Yep, which is fun.
Just going out and having
Yep.
fun, and
Absolutely.
and it gathered up into this community-minded organization that gets out there and does a lot of things to help with benefits and such. And
Yeah.
I wanted to make an impact and
Impact, I
an
like that
impact.
word.
That's it. You're like, I had to get the word
You're
in
watching
there.
Impact with Joe Kelleher, City Council candidate. Yeah, well, we are making an impact right now. I mean,
Absolutely,
This is a
absolutely.
forum. That's what Impact's about.
Right.
To give you a forum and people to talk about arts and government and the community. So we're very happy that you're here.
Well,
So-
likewise, and I'm glad to be here
Yeah.
because a lot of people are coming to me and they're saying they're disillusioned and they are ready to leave the city. And this is a beautiful city.
It is.
Schenectady has always been a beautiful city. I was raised in Saratoga, and as beautiful city as Saratoga is, we still would come down here to Schenectady and go to Proctors Theater and frequent some of the businesses down over this way. I used to work down over this way, and here in Schenectady is where my heart is now. So I want to make it a better place.
Well, you live with your wife, Linda, here in the city.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
We live just off McClellan.
Up near Central Park.
Right
Yeah.
over by Central Park.
Very
So
nice,
we
yeah.
go through Central Park all the time.
Yeah. Which is a beautiful place, isn't it?
Absolutely.
I mean, that
absolutely.
was architecturally designed by, well, I can't remember the name of the planner, the architect, a very famous person.
Oh, absolutely.
Designed Central Park.
And
yeah.
with the Rose Garden being number 3
Oh,
in the
yeah.
nation.
Is it
you
number
know,
3?
It's the third, was voted number 3 in the nation for, and the American Rose Society.
I know your wife is
takes
very,
care.
you and your wife and you are
Yes.
very involved in the Rose Garden Society. I don't
We
know
were
if that's-
recent over at their gala event.
Yeah.
It was a fantastic organization, but I get people coming up to me and saying that they feel like they don't have a voice anymore. They feel like
that's sad.
it really is.
Yeah,
it
to
is.
hear.
The people have grown up here. They've spent their entire lives here, decades and decades.
You're looking at
And-
one.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I mean, many people like that, sure.
And they feel as though they don't have a voice anymore, or they're not being heard. They get up there at the rail at city council meetings, and it seems to go in one ear and out the other.
Yeah.
And I want to be the person that's helping to make that impact and helping to make things happen over here. I don't want to be the person that sits down and complains about it. I want to be a person that's taking action to help make things happen.
They always, I like the old saying that if there's a problem or you have a complaint, you know, you complain, you complain, you complain.
Right.
If you're identifying a problem, you want to complain about it, come up with 2 proposed solutions.
Exactly.
You know,
Exactly.
don't just complain and whine about it.
And when I go
Say
up
what
to,
you're going to do about it.
exactly. And when I
What are
go
you
up
going
to
to
the
do
rail-
about it?
Well,
I mean,
here's
I
what
mean,
I'm going to do
all
about
right,
it, Nick.
So yes, what are your ideas in your platform for the city? I mean, what are you identifying that needs remediation or change or that we should do differently?
Well, there are 3 things that I've been talking about with people, and I have information. I do have a website. It's kelleherforcouncil.com. People can also see me up on Facebook. They'll
Okay.
see Joe Kelleher for Schenectady City Council up over there.
Okay.
They're welcome to take a look over there. But there are 3 things that I'm focusing on right now to get the campaign started off. One is first and foremost to establish some transparency. People see a lot of things happening behind the scenes, and they feel as though they don't have a voice because decisions are already made. They feel like there's only one voice right now on City Council, and that's from Vince Riggi. And Vince is truly making some waves, and he's the one that gets the applause when he stands up and speaks on behalf of the people, and you don't see that from many of the other council members. So I want to help to give him a voice and try to make a difference up on City Council, and give the people a voice, to have the public know and understand what's happening with not only their taxes, but what's happening with their city. They're the ones that I'm beholden to, along with Vince. And we see some people that are more so beholden to their party and making sure that they have a job.
The politics.
Exactly, the whole politics of
Yeah.
it. And I was having a discussion with a couple people the other day, and the thing that they don't like about politics is the politics.
Is the politics.
They enjoy this public service part of it, but the
Right.
politics of it can really get rough, and I don't want to have that anymore. I want to give it back to the people and be a voice to the people.
Well, those are good thoughts. I always wanted to be referred as a public servant
And I noticed that
rather
from
than
your
a
site.
politician.
Right.
You know, even after I've been out of office for quite a few years, but that was always the feeling that I had, and that's what we need.
And that's what I've been
So
doing for
you
a
have to
while.
go through the politics to become a public servant.
Right.
If you want to work in elective office, but so you have to learn the ropes of the politics and go through all the machinations of what you need to do to get endorsements and signatures
Of
of parties.
course.
But then once you're in, then you're the public servant,
Right.
and then your responsibility is to serve the public to the best of your ability.
Exactly. And I know that you, as well as I, know that we've been public service in the past.
Yes.
Now, you were also in the service. I was in the Air
Yes.
Force.
Yes.
I'm currently involved in several service organizations.
You're a leader of a lot of organizations,
I
right?
have
What is
been,
the
yes.
American Legion or
I'm
something?
involved with the American Legion.
Right.
I've just got involved with the Rotterdam Elks.
The Elks Club,
Yeah.
yes. sure.
I've been,
Good- good
you helped me to
organization.
get into the Schenectady Kiwanis.
Kiwanis Club's a wonderful
I've been-
organization.
Right.
Yeah.
I'm involved in the Medical Reserve Corps here in Schenectady County.
Oh, good.
I'm still involved with InfraGuard, which is the the private industry outreach of the FBI, with helping to protect our national infrastructure.
Oh,
I've
never heard
been-
of that one, but
Yeah,
that's-
it's a national organization, a very, very fascinating organization. I've been
Right.
involved with it for over a decade now.
oh, good.
In as much, I've been a volunteer EMT, a firefighter.
Wow.
So these are all things that I've been serving the public since I was a teenager.
Yes.
you
Public
know.
service doesn't have to be elected office.
Absolutely
Public
not.
service is
Absolutely not.
volunteerism, community organizations, boards, agencies,
Right.
whether it be art districts, education, all of that stuff.
And I want to continue to do that too.
Yeah.
That's all part of helping with one of my other points was to build safer neighborhoods.
That's a
Getting-
big one.
Absolutely it is.
Because that's the cry right now. I
It-
mean, we've
it's a
had
huge cry.
economic development success to to certain degrees, especially downtown Proctors, where we're sitting right now, the new Open Stage Media television studio here in Proctors complex.
Beautiful. Beautiful.
And downtown is just great. It's attracting people, a successful business. It's vibrant. Young people are coming here. But the neighborhoods, I don't say should be next, but the neighborhoods have to be addressed, because that's where the huge issues are, the quality of life. And everyone that ever came on here, including the mayor, that's in public office or vying for public office, I always talk about the neighborhoods. So that's on your agenda.
Yes, it is. And
how can you help the neighborhoods improve them, or what can we do?
A lot of people don't even understand that they have neighborhood associations. They don't even know about them.
That's true.
We need to push that each neighborhood has their own associations and association presidents.
Yes.
Those representatives from those neighborhoods have their own impact on the city council as well. They can go up to another organization called SUN, Schenectady United Neighborhoods.
Yes.
And SUN, each of the neighborhoods involved there, bring information back to mayor, the city council, and other organizations, whether both public works, the code enforcement. All of these people come in and they listen to the folks with the different neighborhood associations. So that's one way that the residents can get involved and letting people know. Neighborhood Watch is a fantastic organization that's been around the nation and is very active here. Fred Lee, who I've spoken with on a couple of different occasions.
Yes. Fred's been on our show.
Yes, he has.
He does good work.
He does fantastic
Very dedicated.
work. Yes, he is, very much so. And I've been planning meetings with him so that we can look on how we can help improve and get the community more involved to help improve.
Yes.
Simply by setting up webcams, little DVRs, to get video evidence of things that are happening around their neighborhoods.
Yeah.
Then the police have concrete evidence to go back and do something about it.
Yes.
We just brought on 3 brand new recruits here in the city to help the police force because the police are overwhelmed. I was at an accident scene over 3 hours waiting for a police officer.
Really?
It was tough, and it's not their fault. They've only got so many resources to deal with.
Yes.
It's the same thing with the fire department. The fire department does their absolute best to get out to things as quickly as they can.
I know they do.
And when it's an emergency, they're right there.
Yes.
But we have emergency after emergency after emergency for all these services, even the ambulance services that service here.
Yeah.
And that's something that's very near and dear to my heart.
Yeah.
Because I've been involved with it for
You
so
were an
many
EMT,
years. As an EMT, a firefighter,
Yeah.
even serving with the sheriff's department when I was in high school.
Yeah.
And working with them as a volunteer.
Great. Well, I always thought that if the community's overwhelmed, or there's budgetary constraints and there's cuts in public safety, which no community wants to do, the volunteerism has to step in to close that gap.
Absolutely, absolutely.
And that's what you're talking about, Neighborhood Watch, neighborhood associations, any kind of trained, good volunteer groups can assist the community, try to take a little bit of that stress and pressure off the services that can't be provided, not due to the professionals, the firefighters or the police officers individually, but because of budget constraints and the inability to cover how many calls or how many crimes, and they have to triage the crimes. And I mean, there's priorities of responses. That's why you have to wait a long time for maybe minor disputes. And it's tough out there.
It is.
It's real tough for public safety.
The more detailed information that we can give our public servants, the easier it makes their job.
Yeah.
The more detail that we can give them.
Yeah.
This way they can get the reports done quicker, they have all the information available, and be calm, be collected about it.
Right.
Because the more hysterical we are, we have to get people calmed down for them to be able to speak.
That's true. And that's why the Neighborhood Watch is great. I was a captain of Neighborhood Watch, Goose Hill. I'm not as active as I was, but I'm still involved in Neighborhood Watch. But if people, I'll give a plug for Neighborhood Watch. You really should think about joining, and you don't have to go out on the street.
No,
you can be a window watcher, they call it. So you
yes.
stay in your home, you can just peek out the curtain.
As many people do. You're welcome, Fred. No problem. We love you, Fred.
Right, yeah. Fred Lee, congratulations again. And our kudos to you for all the good work that you do. I know it's an
Absolutely.
uphill battle, but he's been diligent. He's always there.
Yes, he is.
But a window watcher, if somebody in the community could just watch and see something, you see it, you hear it, you report it,
Absolutely.
and that might be crucial information in a crime or
Right.
identification of something or somebody you saw. It's very, very important. Don't even have to go out of your house.
Right.
But,
And it
could be a big help.
And you know as well as I do that a lot of people fear retaliation.
That's
on
why
those kind of
some
things.
people don't want it, especially elderly people,
Right.
single women, people that don't want to put themselves at risk. But everyone can help in some way.
And everybody needs to stand up for that person.
Yeah.
And if you get more and more people standing up for that person who is reporting them, you're going to see some of that start to go away.
Yeah.
Which
If
you
they
had-
know the eyes are watching, then they might have second
they
thoughts
might be a little reluctant
before
to do
they
so.
steal a package off the porch, before they break a window on a car and
Right.
steal a cell phone or something valuable in there.
Right.
I mean, I've seen people rob Christmas presents out of cars.
It's a shame. It's
I
a
mean,
shame.
geez, come on,
And you know what? There's no need for it. There
Yeah.
really isn't.
Yeah.
When you had touched on something earlier too, which is about the funding and taxes and such,
Yeah.
which you know as well as I do, taxes are pretty steep here in the city.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the things that we need to take care of is controlling the spending in order to control the taxes.
Right.
And that's
It's a balancing act.
Exactly.
Yeah.
A big
Tax and
balancing
spend,
act.
tax and spend.
Right.
Spend less, lower the tax rate.
There's-
Spend more, increase the tax rate.
Right, and
Yeah.
there have been projects after project after projects here in the city.
Mm-hmm.
Not that those projects don't mean a lot of good, but we don't have the money for
Yeah.
a lot of these projects.
Yes.
And we can't keep taking money from the taxpayers when we're still in the red.
Yeah.
We need to get back in the black.
Mm-hmm.
It's been a smoke and mirrors game with moving funds from one place to another and borrowing money that we don't have and unguaranteed future funds that we may or may not get
Yeah.
in order to make the city a better place. It's going to put us into more debt. And the more debt we go in, the higher the taxes go.
Yeah.
And the higher the taxes go, the less people feel
Less
a
people wanna
sense-
live
less
here.
people want to live here,
Yeah.
and they move to the surrounding areas.
Yeah.
We have to get those things under control.
Do you have any specific examples of like unnecessary borrowing or any recommendations that might put a dent into the escalating cost of government,
So far,
debt
Nick,
service?
yes,
and-
as a matter of fact, I do. There's a couple different ones.
Yes.
So far, the city borrowed a lot of money to put the Foster Avenue building together, the Public Works building.
Yes.
We haven't paid a dime on that as of yet. And
What do you
that's
mean?
still
What do you mean by
hanging
that?
over our heads.
We borrowed the money.
We
I
borrowed the
imagine it
money.
was bonded, a lot of it,
Yes.
for,
However, there's
sort
no
of like a
been,
mortgage. You pay it over a
Right.
period of years.
but there's nothing
20,
been
30
paid on
years.
it yet.
No payment? Well, why?
There's been,
Do you know why?
I'm
you ever
unable
ask-
to get an answer
Can't
yet.
get an answer?
Not yet.
So if we don't pay, the debt just keeps accumulating and
as does the interest.
multiplying,
Right.
adds interest to it. Well,
Right.
that's interesting.
So, I mean, as it stands,
Yeah.
every man, woman, and child in the city is in debt for a little over $1,000 right now. So, and for some people, that's a full month's pay.
So the per capita debt in the city of Schenectady for the budget is $1,000 per individual,
Per individual.
not just
Right.
household.
Not just the
Includes
household,
children,
not
too.
just the working
The
person in the
population.
household, but the population
Yeah.
itself.
I don't know what it is now, but
It's been
55,000 or so. I don't know what the
right,
city
right. So,
yeah,
I mean, if you look at that, $1,000 per person, there's a lot of money there.
Yeah.
There's a lot of money we're talking about.
yeah,
In as much, there's the one big issue that's been going on right now is discussion, and you've seen this at city council meetings, discussion on the DSS building over on Knott Street.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah, old social services building.
Exactly.
Which is vacant.
Right. It has been vacant.
They
It's
moved to,
asbestos
Broadway.
all the way through it.
It's loaded with, it was an old schoolhouse,
It was an
right?
old schoolhouse. You're
Yeah,
absolutely right.
But it's asbestos loaded, yeah.
And the DSS was in there. They relocated from there. It was purchased by a private developer for $1. This private developer paid off the water bill on it, from my understanding, well, to the tune of $200,000. And anybody who goes into one of these buildings, buys them, should probably do some kind of research to find out why it was abandoned, number one, and what's still in there.
It's called due diligence.
Exactly.
When you acquire a property, even if it's for $1, but you want to know what you're,
Of
what
course.
you're getting into.
So now this
Yes,
private
but-
developer goes in there
Yeah.
and wants a whole bunch of funds now from the city in order to do anything with it. Specifically asking for $1.3 million
For what?
to do the abatement on it, the remediation, to remove the asbestos, and to make this into low to moderate income housing.
Are they asking for a loan, a tax abatement?
No,
a
they're
gift?
asking
What-
for
what-
funding from the city in the form of a grant.
A grant,
This is my understanding.
okay.
This is
Well,
the
I'm not aware of
information that I
this,
have,
that's why
yeah.
I'm asking the question. Okay.
They're
Yeah,
looking at this in this form, and this money is being borrowed against from a future potential grant money that's coming in from CDBG,
Yeah.
from federal funding.
so this is anticipated revenue, but it's
right.
not in the city
not
coffers.
guaranteed.
It's not in the treasury.
Correct. So it's going to be basically borrowed and given out, and it's also being tied in with a couple other things, including demolishment of these other buildings that are vacant around the city
Yeah,
that the city
well,
owns.
there's always a need for demo, I mean.
Oh, definitely
especially
so.
In an
Absolutely.
urban city like Schenectady, there's a lot of abandoned, deteriorating properties.
Absolutely, there is. Yes,
That need to be
and
demolished for safety and health reasons.
I can certainly
You
see
gotta have a budget for that. I mean, I don't
Right.
know what the priorities are, but,
there does need to be that budget for that, and it's certainly understandable.
yeah.
However, there was further discussion on this when I went up to the rail and informed the city council that it would be more cost effective for the building to be demolished. Still not saying that we should be using city funds for that. A certain council person took that idea and said that this building should be demolished.
Excuse me.
Of course, said that this building should be demolished, and we should give this developer $500,000 for demolishment of the building. It's still not our problem. This person, this individual or this company purchased this property, and it's theirs to deal with. Why should we be dealing with this and giving out more money? Why should we be more money that the taxpayers will likely be having to pay, if nothing else, the interest on? Okay, even if we did get the funds, we still have to pay on the interest.
Right.
The interest on $3 million is still a lot of money.
That's significant.
Absolutely.
You know, before we leave, I wanted to ask you a question about your support.
Yes, sir.
In order to be a candidate for public office, you need signatures, you need support of
Right.
political parties and organizations.
Yes.
Who's supporting you? How did you get to become a candidate?
I'm a lifelong Republican.
Okay,
So I did get the Republican endorsement. I also was endorsed by the Conservative Party
okay,
and by the Alliance Party.
okay. So you have 3 lines on the ballot. in November.
Hopefully have 3 lines. Now, in the past, what's been happening is the Alliance Party has been put on the same line as the major party.
Okay. How is that identified?
By a very small letter A.
Just
on
an
it.
A?
Just a letter A.
Wow,
Yeah.
how does that happen? The election?
well,
board?
what-
Who?
It's done by the Board of Elections.
Wow,
So not necessarily the County Board of Elections, but from the state.
okay.
So we're hoping that this year we see that change,
Mm-hmm.
even if we have to go to court to make it happen.
So that's to be seen.
Yes, absolutely.
What other organizations support you? Are you getting endorsements from other, like, groups or?
As to date, well, of course,
Or
the
maybe, what are you
organizations.
seeking, anyway, you know?
I'm-
Labor or, you know?
No,
any type of other organizations that support you?
Well, I've got the support of members of different organizations that I belong to,
Okay.
but
Yeah.
no specific organization,
Okay,
because I don't want it to be about that.
okay.
I want it to be about doing the right thing for the city and doing
Yeah.
the right thing for the people
Yeah.
and doing the right thing for the place that I live.
Yes,
It's with all due respect, we still need funds. So if people want to donate, if people want to get more information, if people want to get involved, they can go to our website. That's kelleherforcouncil.com. They can contact me personally. My cell phone number is listed up on the site, but that's 881-6467. Or they can drop an email to me at joe@kelleherforcouncil.com.
Okay.
Or they can also send me a message or get information on Facebook. But we need volunteers. We need people to give me their ideas. We need their voices. We need help. We need funds.
Yes. Always do in public office.
Absolutely, absolutely. And it's all fully accounted for.
Yes.
So people will know.
So your preference to be people-oriented rather than be endorsing and beholding to certain groups or special interest groups.
I want the people to know that they have a voice.
Okay. We go back to crime for a minute.
Yes.
You had some statistics about crime in Schenectady, or some comparisons. Would you care to share that with our viewing audience?
I did.
Yeah.
And I went to the New York State Department of Criminal Justice, and I did a search based on some information that was passed along to me. And I did a comparison of crime statistics between Schenectady and the Bronx. And as it turns out, violent crime is 18% higher in Schenectady than it is in the Bronx.
Really?
Fascinating number. Now we're talking about violent crime, okay? There's the smaller crimes per se, because even though they may be a personal nature to someone, property damage and such like that.
Yeah.
But things like murder, rape, they're 15% high, 18% higher.
That's surprising.
Here. And anybody can look up these statistics and take a look at them. They're in black and white.
And again, we can't blame this on the law enforcement agencies or the district attorney's office, but if these are statistical facts, they're facts.
They are.
And that's tough, and that's something that's got to be dealt with.
Which means that these people need help, and I want to be an advocate for our public services here, having been involved in that in the past.
Yeah. Well, with that, we're running out of time, but we want to thank you, Joe Kelleher, candidate for Schenectady City Council.
Thank you, Nick.
Endorsed by Republican, Alliance, and Conservative parties.
Correct.
And we wish you well in your campaign.
Thank you, my friend.
And maybe you'll come back and visit us again and let us know what's going on.
I hope so.
Okay, thanks, Joe. Thanks for being here.
Always a pleasure, Nick.
We've been visiting with Joe Kelleher, Schenectady City Council candidate. Thanks for watching Impact. I'm your host, Nick Barber, for the government segment, and we'll see you the next time. Thank you.
Proctors, bringing the best in arts, education, and entertainment.